only one hit of the EX Tatsu. Just gotta watch it.
Yep,
one jump roundhouse.
Yep, can confirm into Hammer Frenzy. We'll see what happens here. First of all, oh, there was the
Big
roundhouse.
trade. Oh my goodness! With the Diddy! Sylvester takes it 3-1 over Chris G. Oh my goodness! Logan Arcade is now in grand finals of Combo Breaker 2025. Wild card, baby!
Oh
yeah!
My goodness, what a
Woo! Oh my god!
One of the first essay videos on this channel was a discussion about how consistency over time benefits the stronger player in the face of suboptimal play that sometimes catches the better player by surprise. This was not that. There was a third strike parry / Hugo read felt around the world at this year's Combo Breaker, two of the fighting game community's favourite things combined. And I want to be abundantly clear that this wasn't one of those instances of suboptimal play catching someone out for playing their hand appropriately. So this was inspired by a post by K-Brad asking why Chris G was punished for doing the right thing. So, did he do the right thing? And was he punished for it? Let's find out. There's a difference between my previous concept, playing the game right, that consistent decision making that accounts for risk, reward and probability, and picking the objectively best option, something which deservedly gets punished, and today we're going to explore that a bit. At the surface, let's look at what happened, and let's look at the claim. A Hugo jumps, a Ken anti-airs, a Hugo parries, a Ken is emulsified. It's a smart play by the Sylvester on all accounts, set up a situation that baits a common sense behaviour, and then capitalise on the baby buffalo that ran into the clearing without suspecting anything. Something F-word coined in the Street Fighter V era as a force play.
But it's another force play. These guys obviously play a lot, and I really love this moment and how Broski controlled the situation. It's coming up here, backs away, and he ends up in a situation where he's going to make his opponent do something. As you see there, he sets it up, throws the EX fireball. It's not like he's reacted in advance. He made him do that command dash. And when he does that command dash, the fireball controls the space from here to here, but what he wants to do is meet him in the middle right here. And we'll let that play out. Bang! Take the bait. Beautiful play there from Broski.
Despite that example coming from a game K-Brad competed in, the claim here seems to be that their game, Third Strike, is flawed, and that it wouldn't happen in a more noble fighting game, like, But anyway, let's take the bait and assume a game can only go one layer deep and solely rewards reactions and executions rather than reads, setups and cerebrality. Should the objectively right choice always win? What would that look like? Going back to this matchup, what would a Hugo look like if his game plan wasn't based on reads and force play? As you'll be aware, the big body grappler archetype follows a general flow, something I've heard the likes of Justin Wong and Jammers called building your house. A grappler lays the foundations by hitting you hard and forcing you to block. The walls come up as they punish your blocks and throws. They slam the doors and windows shut by command throwing your tech attempts and hesitation. And lastly, the roof comes down when you feel there's no choice left but to jump out. This game plan is entirely a communicative act, a transaction that takes place where the ogre asks you a riddle and punishes you for picking the obvious answer. That's the game for a grappler. In Third Strike there is the added mechanical layers of parries and meter spend, which the entire game has been built and balanced around, including things like Hugo's movement and pressuring tools. If you take away his mind games, his block-inducing hits, his tech and mash-inducing throws, and his jump-inducing command grabs, and then because of a debate like this you take away his universal contract to parry, then there is no need for this already mid-tier character at all. And before you know it, you'll see where this is going, you end up in a karate champ footsie style fighter with identical characters, identical combos, identical setups. Since the only thing we're allowed to reward is people playing optimal moves and optimal strategy. But is that even the case? Is that how games with a centralised moveset and single archetype like footsies are played? Is honesty the best policy? The prisoner's dilemma is one of the most repeated examples of practical game theory used everywhere, from chess meta to the stock market to how Sony, Nintendo and Microsoft decide on the price of their next console. And it goes like this. You and a friend rob a bank and escape in a stolen car. The police catch you and have enough evidence to put you both in jail for 1 year for the stolen car. But they don't have enough evidence to pin you to the bank robbery. So what they do is take you into separate interrogation rooms and offer you both a deal. If you sign the confession telling them that your friend did it and how they did it, they'll hit your friend with the full 10 years. But you'll have your 1 year struck off for cooperating and they'll set you free. What happens if we both sign a confession, you ask? And they tell you that you'll get a shared sentence of 5 years each. Then they leave you both alone in your individual rooms to make your choice, unable to speak to each other. You think about it for a moment from your perspective. If you sign the confession, you get to go free. If you don't sign the confession, you still have to do a year in prison. So the best chance you have is to sign it, right? But wait, won't your friend have the same idea? That means if you sign the confession, you'll get 5. But if you don't, you'll get 10 years. This sucks. But your best hope from both perspectives is still to sign the confession. So, knowing that your best option in both scenarios is to sign the confession, you make the best choice on the table and sign on the dotted line. Knowing that no matter what your friend does, you made the right choice for each of the scenarios that they might put you in. This creates what's known as dominant strategy, a clear, single best approach to a situation for all involved, and it invokes a state of equilibrium between 2 or more players. Since they know the best strategy, they know their opponents know the best strategy, and they know that their opponents knowing the best strategy reinforces the best strategy further. However, in reality, if both players know the optimal play and play the optimal play, the benefits of playing optimally, when considering all possible outcomes, are massively reduced, and there's no real hope for the best case scenario. In this example, and in any form of competition where there's a clear right answer, this vastly reduces your options at the surface level to playing the right choice, and trusting all of the odds, or making the wrong choice and going for the higher risk but higher reward option. But that option still is on the table, and since you're playing the scenario over and over again on repeat, you can gather data and perhaps even influence them to make the best choices for you. So a metagame needs to take place where you have to play with the knowledge that they know the same things that you do, and you need to begin thinking outside of the basic strategy in order to get the best outcome, not just looking at each clash of fists as a single discrete scenario. Assuming they know the best option, will they take the best option? Do they know that you know they'll take the best option, so they anticipate and behave differently? If they behave differently, should you behave differently? If they know that you'll anticipate that they'll behave differently, should they cycle back to behaving optimally? Has anyone shown any signs of breaking from the dominant strategy? The layers can run on forever here, but the point is that mutually optimal behaviour in a relatively fair environment cannot produce the best scenario. Therefore, playing solely with best buttons, the best expected value for a decision in any given outcome, the fastest reactions and the best execution against someone banking on the same cannot produce a perfect round of Street Fighter. Interestingly, Nash Equilibrium, the study of playing against dominant strategy, is something that has been studied by grapplers in the Virtua Fighter scene for this exact reason, in order to calculate the best types of throw to go for based on how afraid of the optimal option your opponent is. Shoutouts to Zass for that one, check out their video in the description. So even in an imaginary world where only optimal play is rewarded, or any fighting game with an intrinsically homogeneous character roster, you should still build your game plan on reading that your opponent will play optimally, and, with that as a starting point, choose how you will take the upper hand. In reality, this is what we saw at Combo Breaker. A rules-bound player that was victim of their optimal mentality, and someone smart enough to know better that was appropriately awarded for it. It's not a perfect example, of course those parries also required high execution, and Chris G was in no way playing optimally by choosing to put himself in the sky against a jumping grappler, especially knowing the mechanics and constraints of the game, and how perfectly all of this played into that building your house behaviour that a Hugo wants to get out of you. This is why some players prefer longer sets. The early games only really serve as a handshake that validates that your opponent understands the basic rules of engagement at your level. Leave equally matched players at a cabinet or in a lobby for 20 or more games, and that's when the real silly billy, high risk, high reward cat bass play comes out. As they delve deeper and deeper into a battle of creativity and metal. And this happens in the most distilled of games too. If it was just about reaction times and pressing the right button, we can do that without a copy of Street Fighter. Even the simplest of fighting games elicits and rewards a wrong behaviour played at the right time. Whether that's to beta DP, beta limb, beta reach. These are fundamentally the things that separate fighting games from other games of skill and knowledge. There are non-fighting games that purely celebrate textbook play, where you are rewarded for playing right every time, and your success is built off having the nerve to play cleanly until your opponent makes an unforced error. And it's absolutely part of a fighting game, and part of fighting games that you can go far off leveraging, but it is yet another rock, paper, scissors component that you will be constantly cycling through if you are truly playing the game the way that it's meant to be played.
No, you see, I'm talking facts here. I don't do if, buts and maybes, I do absolutes.
It can feel safe and reassuring to gather up all of these rules, on what you're supposed to do, what you get rewarded for, what you get punished for, and you should always apply these things as you learn them. But you should also think about why you're applying them and experiment with that so that you can apply them in your own way, breaking through the dominant theory and creating that all-important moral and immoral player expression that so many people yearn for in their fighting games. The big net sum that figures out the best player doesn't just boil down to who is best at sticking to the rules. Ultimately, the person that played it right is the person left standing at the end of the match. It's not always Hugo. In fact, it's usually not Hugo. And at the end of the tournament, it wasn't Hugo. But when it is, there's a good chance that something out of the ordinary and something worth respecting and celebrating, not chalking up to bad game design, had to take place for it to happen.
That's gracious.
It's like a man said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, hold this SPD.
Exactly. But before that...